Hello, I'm Panos Kotzathanasis, and this is Asian Movie Pulse Interviews. Today I'm here with Erik Matti. How are you, Eric?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, I'm
Doing great.
fine. Okay, let's start with the question. So, you have been shooting movies and being in the industry for more than 2 decades now. What do you feel are the most significant changes you have seen in cinema?
Um, well, in the interesting thing now, there's been a lot of changes in cinema the past how many years? I think more so here in the Philippines. The pandemic really earlier, even before the pandemic, we had a lot of difficult times trying to get our films into the movie houses. But then when the pandemic happened and the theaters closed down, we were the longest in the world to close down because of the pandemic. And because of that, it's even more difficult now to make movies for the cinemas. And in my case, for example, I pivoted into doing a series straight out of the pandemic. And I'm doing two more in the coming 2 years, precisely because of how hard it is to get the theatrical screening of a film that any of us will be doing. But of course, well, in as much as I'm happy with the streaming and that we're able to tell stories on a longer format in a series, of course, we all still love to do movies that will be shown in the big cinemas, movies where people come together as a community and watch collectively a story unfold in front of them in the darkened theaters. That would be great. So right now, even with the series that we're doing, I'm still developing a few movies that we will shoot in the next coming 2 years, which could just be fun movies. It could be serious movies, but it's just never letting go of cinema in general, the one that we all are used to, which is going to the theater, buying a ticket, bringing your popcorn and watch a movie.
And do you feel that your cinematic style, the way you direct films, has changed through the years?
I think over the years, I've changed a lot. I think for every project, I learn from my mistakes. And whether that be in how a script is written or maybe a kind of style that fits that particular movie. Right now, when I'm doing pre-production for our projects, it's taking longer and longer for me to decide specifically. Before it was just easy. You tend to be aware of timelines and you want to get on with it because all the other cast and crew are waiting for the film to commence. But nowadays, I'm taking my time, more time on preparing for my shoots, making sure that I get things ready, not just in my head, but to be able to communicate to everybody what needs to be done when the film goes into production. So it's getting longer and longer for me to start production, precisely because of preparations that we do. May that be in terms of design, in terms of casting, in terms of script development, and even as far as cinematography is concerned. But of course, I never let go with the idea that once you have it in your head, there has to be an opportunity to still play around, to still just let things happen, let it be, and and then let accidents fall into place, and and find a way to just maneuver around it. So I'm hoping that that's a good balance now.
So are you becoming a perfectionist as time passes?
Yeah, I'm getting, when you watch your films, and I don't normally watch my other films, the films that I made, but in the chance that I get to see a film that I've made, I get certain parts of it, and then I see, oh, I should have done this, I should have done this. But because you were there in the moment and you didn't have time to think of it, then you just let go and just did it that way. So nowadays, I want to explore options and make sure that when I pin down on it, that I've already thought of other things and decided to just go with this.
And are there any actors that stand out for you from your filmography?
Sorry?
Are there any actors or actresses that stand out through your years in filmmaking?
There's a lot. I've practically managed to work with a lot of Filipino actors and actresses, and I keep coming back to the ones who, have the passion to do my films as well, because my films aren't easy to do. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of hard work. And I love when actors who have done my films, and deep down inside, I know how difficult it was as an experience for them, and would still get them to be excited about still making it with us. Like Ann Curtis, we're doing another Buy Bust. With Buy Bust, the first Buy Bust, and we were trying out going back into this big action genre. It took us, 1.5 years to finish the film. And she didn't do anything else other than that film. And on top of that, she had to do a noontime show every day. Because our shooting were all nighttime, right? So sometimes when you don't have passionate actors like that, they tend to give up. Like after that, okay, it was a good experience, but I'm not doing it again. But here we are again doing another project, which I couldn't discuss yet. But she, after the pandemic, Ann Curtis, we approached Ann for another project, also as difficult and as hard as Buy Bust, the movie. And she said, yes, I'm not gonna do any other project. I'm just gonna do that with you guys. And we already started working on this like October last year. And up to now, we haven't shot a single scene because we've been doing pre-production. She's doing a training. She's, all those things. And I'm just happy to have actors who like work with you and will see through the project, as opposed to just looking at it as, okay, here's my window, you can use me, but after that, I don't care. There are actors who are more looking forward to believing in the project, and because they believe in the project, they will do everything they can to get the project done as good as it could be. And yeah, Ann Curtis is there, which I really love. Dennis Trillo, which is just a very professional, quiet actor who's always there when you need him and who's always giving you his 100%, and many others. I usually work with a lot of character actors that are my go-to. Like I don't have a headache anymore because I know that when they're there, they're not gonna complain about how long the shoot is or how difficult, where they're gonna climb, all those diva questions. There's Dali De Leon, which I really love. Lot Lot, De Leon, and they're not related, but they have the same family name. I have like Joel Torre, who's my lead on the first On the Job. And many more that I can't mention now.
And can you tell me a bit about your cooperations with Eric Khoo, food lore and folklore? How did that happen? Yeah.
Yes, I met Eric Khoo in several of the film festivals when I was doing the round for On the Job, the movie, way back in 2011. So we met in several festivals. We've had drinks, and then we always eat a lot because we love eating. And when he did the season 2 for HBO, I just received a message from Eric, and he said, "Are you interested in doing a food-centric series?" And I said, "Of course." No one knows this, but I really love food shows. I really love food and travel. I'm like a frustrated cook and chef. And I'd love to share a story about cooking and food in general. And he said, "Okay, well, I'm doing this show, which is like a spin-off of Folklore, where I'm choosing 8 countries. And in the 8 countries, each country will have their own story about their local food, regional food. And I picked you for the Philippines." And I was glad. So I made the show, the episode. It went on to win a few of the awards in Southeast Asia, both for best drama and best director for me. And when the second season of Folklore came, he again got in touch and said, "I know how much of a horror filmmaker you are. So maybe you could try your hand as the Philippine entry for Folklore on this one." And that one, as opposed to doing a ghost movie, we just decided to go with witchcraft as a story. And it's a detective story, but it has supernatural elements in it, which is good, because when you do anthology stories, there's a lot more freedom to tell fresh and unique stories, because you're not guided by a particular formula, because each episode is told differently by each filmmaker. So those are 2 of the projects that really, I don't usually do short films, but I consider Folklore and food lore like my little short films. And that also paved the way for HBO to get On the Job, and then our succeeding series that we're doing as well.
And are you happy with your cooperation with the streaming services, Netflix and HBO?
Yes, in as much as my focus is really on movies, the streaming service is a welcome change. It's a welcome change to a pace, or to what kind of stories you could tell, because it's longer, it's 8 episodes or 6 episodes. But at the same time, in a country like ours, the Philippines, for example, where there's not much opportunity to do not just big stories like the streamers could afford, but just stories in general that are not the usual love stories, the usual melodramas, and the usual gay comedies. The streamers have given a chance for me personally to be able to tell different kinds of stories. That through the streaming, I'm allowed to tell a story that's not just very local, but also could talk to a more universal audience. And that is what I love about it, because in the absence of a theatrical release, where there's no business in it, really, And of course, it's almost impossible to just make festival movies, because then where will I get the money to keep on doing the films if it's just going to the festivals? The streaming allows me to still continue telling stories and explore my filmmaking, my style, in a much bigger platform, in a platform that speaks to a lot bigger audience. And I'm excited for that, and I welcome the change in pace, because a series is really difficult to put together, especially like in the series I'm about to do now. I decided to do 8 episodes by myself. So imagine 8 episodes of, that's like 4 movies, shooting 4 movies all in one, right? That's the reason why my preparation is kind of getting harder and harder, because we need to look at all angles.
And regarding creative freedom, though, are you okay with the streamers? Do they allow you to do whatever you want, let's say?
Like, for example, we're doing the 2nd season of On the Job, and we're the ones developing it, because it's a world that we know, it's the world we established, and in the 2nd season, we're pushing it to be something else as well. And there's a kind of there's a kind of personality and attitude for On the Job as opposed to other things. So with that one, the streamers allow us to just go ahead and bring the same kind of energy and attitude and personality into the series, because it's us who actually know about it, right? And sometimes with the streamers, even with all the freedom that we get, sometimes it would be great to hear like a comment where maybe this part is kind of confusing. It's nice to hear feedback, because at the end of it, it's going to be done by you, it's going to be under you. So any help you could get to make it better, or if it doesn't make it better, then you could always say no, right? But it helps. It helps to keep you on track, to keep you aligned with how you really want things to be done. It's manageable. Working with Netflix is a different thing. Also, Netflix it's pretty much do what you want, and then we'll look at it and we'll comment as much as we could, but we're not gonna make it a development of some sort between you and us, right? So it's practically like, what do you want to do? Okay, we like it. Okay, go ahead, write it.
Okay. And tell me a bit, a lot of your movies focus on corruption on the Philippines, this circle that is saved by politicians, police, army, and the press. Does this thing still exist? Because you saw it in the first On the Job, and it's the same on the second so many years later. So does it still exist, this kind of corruption in the Philippines, you think?
What we do with the On the Job series is we're focusing on different aspects of society, not just government, in order to like open up the stories that are involved there. So like in the second On the Job, there's the story of journalism, right? Small town politics and journalism, as opposed to the national politics in the first one. The second one focused on small town, the mayors, and all those things. Now, in the second season, we're thinking of going into gambling. So we're gonna analyze how gambling connects with corruption, and how the cops and the assassins are worked into that system. So it's a different kind of like direction for the second season, but it's as interesting as the first and the second one.
And can you tell me, what is your opinion of the Filipino movie industry at the moment? How do you think it works now?
There's a lot of jobs going around, but there's not much ambition, you know. Resources are hard to come by. Yes, you could continue making movies, but just do it within this much money. And when it's the same amount of money for everybody, all films look alike. No matter how ambitious you may want it to be, if the same money, if you're given 100 pesos, all of us get 100 pesos, we can buy the same gift for Christmas, right? So what I'm saying is, there's a lot of work to go by, but the whole film industry is like on survival mode. You know, after the pandemic, everybody needs to get a job. There's a lot of filmmakers who's not doing a lot of jobs, and they all need to live. They all need to make a living. So, and then there are chances to make movies, but it has to be fast and easy, and you know, and it's bound by only this much money. So there's not a lot of room to dream, to do ambitious projects, or to reinvent the wheel, or to think outside the box, or do something else, right? It's practically like a cookie cutter machine that just comes up with different shapes, but it's still a cookie.
Okay.
And that's where we are. That's where I feel we are now. I'm hoping that because in the coming years, I'm hoping that there will be a lot of bigger projects that come in. All of us are trying to find a way to get the movies back, to get the cinemas, the strength of the cinema back, and the audience into our theaters. But judging from the way things have been going, there have been 2 film festivals that have shown local films the past year, and none have made money. So we're actually in our company, me and my partner in Reality Studios, Don, we're actually thinking of, because we're also thinking of doing our own movies aside from the series. We're thinking maybe what the audience needs is just the producers meeting them halfway. Because what's been happening in the past, that's why most of the movies have failed at the box office, is just no one wants to risk making bigger or, you know, more exciting movies. Everyone's wishing, let's just do this small movie, show it in the cinemas, and hope that we hit the jackpot. But what we're thinking is, maybe the audience needs, you know, they see this big, exciting movie, and maybe that would entice them, that would excite them to go back into the cinemas. So it's like meeting them halfway, right?
Yeah.
You can't always just serve them instant coffee, right?
I get it.
Show them that you came up with this artisan coffee, that you brewed it for 5 hours, and you know, and maybe then, of course, let's go. I want to taste that coffee, right?
Okay. And the last question, I guess, you have been shooting almost constantly for so many years. Do you ever feel tired?
Yes, I work hard and I party harder.
Okay.
I take long vacations. I do a lot of breaks, and I always come up with, when you're here in the Philippines, let me know, because I always come up with all these parties with filmmakers. It's my way to get updated with what's happening with my colleagues, the young, the old, you know, and we have parties regularly. Like next Monday, a programmer is coming over from Korea. So I'm setting a party with 20 of my friends from the industry so that we could all, like, you know, talk shop and drink, get drunk, and so yes, I constantly work, but I also constantly, you know, take breaks.
Okay, okay, great. So that's it. Thank you very much, Eric, for being here. This was ASEAN Movie Pulse interviews from Panos Kotzathanasis and Erik Matti. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.